I am filming this video in the aftermath of the elite telling us a huge lie, that we could build a democracy in Afghanistan at the barrel of a gun, and that China would liberalize and democratize through trade. Now we have the most repressive Chinese government since Mao, powered by the investment of billionaires and elites in the West, now does deals with the Taliban that has swept to power after 2 decades of insurgency. The government we tried to construct in Afghanistan, no one in Afghanistan would ever die to defend it because it was corrupt and rotten to the core. The president, Ghani, he fled the country with $169 million in his briefcase. His nephew posts a picture of himself boarding a private jet saying, "Moving from one crisis to another in style." These are the types of people that our soldiers were giving their lives to defend. People so corrupt that they didn't even care about Afghanistan. I was born in 1999, I'm 22 years old this year. I grew up in the shadow of the 9/11 terror attacks and the myth of WMDs and the elites' lies to us about the war on terror that never seemed to end. Now it finally has ended. Thousands of mothers will never see their sons again. Tens of thousands of civilians have been killed. $2 trillion evaporated overnight into the bank accounts of corrupt officials and military industrial contractors. How could we build a democratic society in Afghanistan when our own democracies have been increasingly captured by corrupt, kleptocratic interests? Increasingly, our own democracies are rigged by elites and billionaires for their own power. That is the question that we now see answered with Afghan civilians clinging to American military aircraft, departing the city, falling to their deaths. These are the people that we were asking ordinary Afghans to defend, to fight to the death, to protect. A bunch of corrupt kleptocrats who could not be counted upon to stand there and fight for their society. We can't build a democracy in Afghanistan when our own democracies are fraying at the seams. Our democracies are being increasingly bought up by elite interests. You look at Afghanistan, that is just the extreme case. Now, we say we have a democracy. Really, we have technocracy, ruled by the elites, ruled by the so-called best and brightest. The list of failures by the elite over the last 20 years, it's too long to even count. The myth of the self-regulating market, the banks will regulate themselves. How did that end up? The global financial crisis, millions of people lost their homes. The myth of trickle-down economics, how has that resulted? Well, during the pandemic, in the wealthiest societies on the face of the planet, the wealthiest to ever exist, you have people going hungry, people facing homelessness, people facing poverty, and that is the myth of trickle-down economics. Billionaires flying themselves to space on joyrides while the planet burns, while there are millions and millions going hungry. In Australia, billionaires have seen their wealth almost double over the past year, while ordinary people have seen their wages stagnate or decline. Millions of people have lost jobs, millions of people have lost work, and yet the billionaires have grown their wealth, the billionaires have grown their influence. You look at JobKeeper. These were effectively straight direct transfers from the poor to the rich facilitated by the Australian government. You pay your taxes just like everyone else. Your taxes were used to subsidize huge businesses, profit-making machines. You saw stuff like Crown Casino receive hundreds of millions of dollars in JobKeeper payments. And what did they plan on doing? They planned on giving James Packer a $200 million dividend. These were direct transfers from the poor to the rich facilitated by the Australian government. It's the same in America. This is the largest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich in human history. I've seen living conditions decrease. I've seen so many young people committing suicide because they have no hope, no connection to anyone else, because our society is so isolating and alienating and people are so cut off from one another. All my life, that is what I've seen. That is what I have experienced as a 22-year-old. All my life, I've just known people around me, seeing their living situations go backwards, seeing their conditions go backwards. I've seen young people so isolated and cut off from one another that they believe that suicide is their best option. I've lost so many friends to this. Our societies are sick to the core. Our democracies are sick to the core, People don't have power anymore. People can't control their own destinies. Families and communities have no say over their own futures. This is why people are dying. This is why we keep seeing catastrophes overseas. Our elites are completely implicated in all these catastrophes. They were the ones that made so much wealth out of the corrupt system in Afghanistan that ultimately failed the Afghan people and led to the rise of the Taliban. And they're the same people who made so much money out of trade with China while the Chinese government constructed concentration camps for Uyghurs, Muslims, and persecuted Tibetans on a massive scale, destroyed freedom in Hong Kong. This is what our elite has done in the West. So many people across the world are suffering. People in Australia are suffering, people in Afghanistan are suffering, Uyghurs are suffering. This is our system now. That's why I'm running for parliament. I can crash and burn, I don't care. I'm running to be someone outside the system that can talk about these truths, that can actually address the rot. That's why I'm sick. I'm sick of seeing people die. I'm sick of seeing friends hopeless, despairing, families destroyed, ripped apart by these rapacious capitalist conditions. We must build a fairer, democratic society, a system where ordinary people decide their own future. We need real democracy, not democracy governed and ruled by the elite. We need people power again. That's why I'm running for parliament. That's why I'm running for parliament. Thank you.
Audio's in there now.
Is there any way to that it can be higher than me, the camera?
Yeah.
Can you put it taller? Because that way we're not going to get the double chin thing. That's good. That's good.
Like that?
I think that's good.
Okay. Here, let me quickly show you what you look like.
Yep.
Everything's recording. Like that?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Cool.
Perfect.
Alrighty.
All right.
Timer's gonna start
Yeah.
now.
All right.